Sorry. Hi, my name is Amir.
And my name is Nigel. Sorry about the delay there. Yeah. Technical hitch.
As always. Yeah. So last week we spoke a bit into education and briefly about employment. So for some of you out there who are looking for work or who are looking for their first ever job, not to worry. It took me about 5-6 months before I was able to get my first job. 5-6 months of searching, applying for pretty much everything and anything, not getting a lot of interest. It does make you feel a bit disheartened, I say. But I worked a bit on my CV. Just updated it a bit, started adding more info about myself. So Nigel here is going to show you a basic layout of what a CV is and what it should be, and a few examples of cover letters. So, would I take it away?
Yeah, okay, thank you. CV is a way of introducing yourself to somebody that you may not know, and they won't know you. And this is before you've actually, hopefully, you get the interview. So it's trying to make a good impression with certain details, such as the layout of the CV. I've got this one here. I don't know if I come up close to the camera. You can see here we have your basic CV. So you've got your name at the top, your address. You've got your email address, mobile number, and landline number if you have one. Then your personal statement, sorry, it's not very focused there. So that's basically introducing yourself to your actual potential employer. Key skills, school will be your qualifications there. If you haven't got the results yet, will be predicted grades, but most A-level and GCSEs are out as such. I know there's a dispute with the A-levels. BTECs are not out yet, so you can give your predicted grades. Hobbies and interests, and then references. I would suggest putting references available upon request. As I mentioned last week, references, whoever you ask, I would strongly suggest that you speak to them first so they know that if they get a phone call, if you give them their details, that's something else. Do they mind if you give out their mobile number, for instance, or their email address, or even postal address if the potential employer was writing to them for a reference? So out of courtesy to that person, it would be nice for you to speak to them first. They may be able to offer some advice and guidance as well, so it'd be a bit of a bonus. The personal statement is, if you come in from school, it's just, you can say things such as, I'm a highly motivated and hardworking individual who has just completed my studies at whatever school it is or college. The hobbies and interests, keep it appropriate. So things such as watching sporting events, socialising with friends, music, watching films, keeping fit, those sorts of things. There could be other things you can add on there. It's entirely up to you. So you would personalise it to your skills, and you could tie that into your key skills if you wanted to. So you could tie in the key skills and hobbies and interests. As far as your CV, it is okay just to send your CV, but really, personally, I would suggest a covering letter to go with that as well. So it's an introduction. So you're introducing yourself, and then they can look at the details that you're providing them. So on your CV, on your covering letter, would be the address of the business, or the actual place of work where you potentially like to work. Then your home address is there. Amir is going to show the details there. That's great. If you know their name, so at the top there on that particular one, it's sales assistant. You'd put the date, And then if you don't know their name, put to whom it may concern. And this is, I've put Wenzel's. I haven't got any personal details on there, so you could incorporate what you've done at school, and also saying that you're friendly. Obviously, you're going to work with customers, you're reliable, so you're going to turn up every day or every day of your shift, and hardworking. You enjoy meeting people. So these are all the qualities and attributes that a place or a bakery where you're serving the public would be looking at. These are the types of skills that they're looking for. You can put your personal interests there and finish it off. I look forward to hearing from you, and then it's yours faithfully. If you know the name of the person you're actually submitting your CV and covering letter to, then it would be yours sincerely. You finish it off with your name and then your email address, so that it's gently reminding them, although you've enclosed it on your CV, you're gently reminding them that there is a way of contacting you, and they have your mobile number on your CV anyway. Hopefully you've got that. So it's really trying to get the best opportunity for somebody to come back to you with a positive response and say, right, okay, can you come in on Wednesday at certain time for an interview? And that's great news, because you've got your foot in the door, and hopefully you'll do well in the interview and get offered the job, which is what it's all about. What would you say about, Amir, what would you say about preparing for an interview and the way that you would dress and those sorts of things? And you know, if you get the interview, and then what would you suggest that one person would do?
Yes. So you get the interview. That's good news. You're halfway there, shall we say. Interviews is essentially you're just trying to sell yourself a bit, aren't you?
Yes.
You're trying to show potential employers that, you know, you are the person that they want to, that not that they want, but they could benefit from having you as part of the team or as part of the workforce, whatever. So interviews are, in my opinion, one of the most nervous things that I still get nervous at interviews, and I've done many interviews, and I still get nervous no matter what interview it is. But there's some tips that will help you be better prepared for them. So do come prepared, for starters. You know, in terms of what to wear, you know, you want to go with something smart, something casual, something, you know, that's not too scruffy, too dirty. You know, you want to come presentable.
Yes.
Right.
Appropriately dressed.
Yeah.
You're not going to a nightclub.
No.
You're going for a job interview, so it's dressing, as Amir said, smart, casual, and appropriate for that setting.
Don't necessarily need to wear a suit or a three-piece suit. Just something that's smart and, you know, it's just well dressed, basically. I would also suggest, right, say your interview's at, I don't know, 10:30 or 10. Always arrive at least 15, 20 minutes before. You know, again, that just helps you get settled in. You can do some breathing, deep breaths.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, I tend to wipe the sweat off my palms. Don't know what you do, but you know, it's all you know, just take a couple of deep breaths, get settled in. You know, go over in your head how you want to introduce yourself and how you want to come across. You know, another, you know, don't go ooh, ee as well when they ask you questions. You know, the thing is, if they ask you a question, you don't have to answer it straight away. You can take a couple of seconds just to think, which is what I normally do.
Yeah, I mean, you could always ask if the question is slightly unclear to you, or you weren't quite sure of what they were asking. You could always say to them, "Could you please repeat the question?" just so that you know 100% what they're actually asking you. There's nothing worse than answering something that you think they've asked you, and they're thinking he or she has not answered what I've asked. And they would definitely prefer you to actually ask, could you repeat the question? So better not just to sit there and be quiet and not say anything, because what they potentially could think is, if we give this person a job and we ask them to do something in the shop and they're not clear about it, are they just going to go off and do something that they think they've been asked or told to do? And it's not what we've asked them to do in the first place. So it's sort of counterproductive. You're thinking, right, by not asking, I don't want to appear silly or that I don't understand people talking to me. It's not that. Sometimes it is the words and the tone and that are actually being presented to us. That sometimes that can be confusing for all of us. And even myself, I question things sometimes, not for the sake of it, but purely if I'm not clear or it's not 100% clear to me, the instructions or the question, I will ask, and then you can move on. And people, in my experience, would prefer that rather than you just to sit there.
Yeah.
But what do you think?
No, I agree with you completely. Never, if you don't understand a question, never be afraid to ask them to rephrase it in a certain way, or because that was me at one point. If I never understood something, I would just flag it basically. And before I knew it, I'd have just rambled on, not making any sense and whatnot. So, like I said, they'd rather you want something clarified than just go into it, because that does show, you're not afraid to ask for help or ask for clearer instructions.
To clarify things, to make things nice and clear, and that's I think anyone would prefer that most definitely.
Some other things as well is like I said, do take your time to consider your answers and respond appropriately. And again, it's an interview. It is serious. It can seem like a very daunting thing, but do make time for pleasantries and a bit of social laughing, I guess. At the end of the day, if you are going for a customer service job, I think most of those employers would like someone who can have a bit of a laugh with their customers, whatnot. At the end of the day, interviews, they want to know who you are and what you're about, So, if you're naturally a fun, loving person who, is positive about things, then come across that way, But also another thing I will say is obviously a work individual and a professional individual are two different individuals, let's say, shall we? So obviously, if I'm with my group of friends, I speak to them in how we normally speak, and it's normally a bit of slang here and there, a bit of short abbreviated words, things like that. Have our own words for certain things as well. Don't do that at interviews, because again, it's an interview. It's a job at stake here. Anything you want to add?
I quite agree. It's quite categorizing how all of us interact in different social situations. So how you act at home, whether it's your parent, guardians, grandparents, is going to be different to how you interact with your friends, and that in turn is going to be different how you interacted if you're still at school, with how you interact with your teachers and any other adult staff at the school or college or even university. So it's trying to remember that you cannot act just one way. It just will not work socially. It will not be acceptable. Whether you like it or not, it's one of those many life's lessons, if you like, that we all learn. Sometimes some people learn the hard way, and some people learn from witnessing it with other people. If, for instance, you were very cheeky with your teacher, normally it does depend on who the teacher is, but normally that wouldn't go down very well. Whereas if you were out with your friends and were a bit cheeky, you'd probably get away with it. Probably. More likely you would. So there's a bit of banter there. So that is trying to monitor that and trying to be aware of that. So it's not saying that you shouldn't, smile, or, if something funny is mentioned, that you shouldn't laugh. We're not saying that, but we're saying that you should be very aware of your own, the language you're using, and whether it be in your covering letter or CV, and how you verbalize, how you're actually talking to the person that's interviewing you. Maybe one person, could be two. So it's about remembering that, and we all have to do it if you go into a customer service role. So if you're going even to work with someone in construction, let's just say a plumber, for instance. So you're going to be going with the plumber. They're going to train you, and you're going to be going to customers' houses. They don't want someone that's going to use inappropriate language or be very scruffy and untidy because they're going to a customer's house to do a repair. Yes, the job at times can be quite dirty, but that's not the point. The point is, outside, you need to behave appropriately to the setting that you're in. And at this point, what we're talking about is the interview. So if you get yourself an interview, just be mindful of that. Give yourself a time to get there. Could be travel arrangements. You may be able to walk there. You may need to use a bus. You may need to use a train. You may be lucky enough to get a lift. These are all the things that you need to take into consideration. Even if you were getting a lift in a car, it depends if somebody knows the route. So if the driver knows the route, they may know that there's been roadworks or there's traffic. So give yourself a little bit of time. As Amir mentioned earlier, most definitely. You don't want to get there. If you're interviewed at 10 o'clock, you don't want to get there 2 minutes to 10 or 10 o'clock. You need to get there, my experience and Amir's experience, at least 15 to 20 minutes before your interview. You can sit in reception if that's where you'll be placed. And it gives you time to sort of take a deep breath, get yourself together, get focused, and even look at the literature that you've sent in. So if you sent a covering letter and interview and CV, I would suggest you take a copy of those as well with you, because the interviewer may say, oh, based on your CV, you went to whatever school it was, and oh yes, I'm looking at your results. And it's not to say you won't remember what school you've been to, but we all do suffer from nerves in an interview, and sometimes it's someone's pushed delete on the side of your head. So all that information that you've got and you're ready for it, it suddenly it disappears. But if you've got it physically in front of you and you can read off of it and say, yes, that's right, I got this particular grade in this subject. Always remember, this is not Amir and myself telling you what you should and shouldn't be doing. These are suggestions based on the experiences in life that we've had. Yeah. And we continue to make improvements on an individual basis if we have an interview.
As I said at the beginning, I know I still get nervous at interviews.
I do. Yeah. I do get very nervous.
Yeah, we're not what's the word? Interview experts.
No,
we're just telling you, how we would go about it and what we would do. Because it's just about giving yourself that best opportunity you can get.
Yeah.
Another thing that I think is quite useful tip. Do your research on the company that you've applied for. Whether it's supermarket, care home, restaurant, whatever, because there's always one question that I always used to struggle with, and it was, what can you tell us about the company? And I would always go, oh no, all right,
Yeah.
right. Do your research on the company, because a lot of employers, if you do your research on the company, it shows that you're
interested.
You're interested in the company, and you've spent a bit of time doing your research about them, and like I said, that question has stumped me more times than I care to remember. So yes, if you do get an interview with, no matter where it is, they might not ask you the question. Maybe the bigger businesses might not, but still do your research on it, because if it does come up, you'll thank us for it.
Yeah.
Basically. So any other points that we need to mention?
It's better to be over prepared than under prepared.
Yeah.
So, and I totally agree with what Amir has said. Even if it's a small business, it's an independent. Let's just go back to a bakery. So there's no other bakeries run by the owners. You could look at how long has the business been running? How many employees do they have? What sort of things do they make? Do they have all sorts of things like that? So
it's also if they work with any charities and local produce and things like that, because they love it when people blow on their trumpets.
Yes,
so,
all the positive, and it's I would definitely point out the positive things for a business. If you're looking at a business and there's lots of negatives, then I would question, why would you want to go and work for them? So that's something slightly different.
Yeah.
But for your interview, you're going to hopefully be interested in potentially working for them anyway. So that's the reason why you've applied. You've got your interview. Have some information there. You can bullet point it. Doesn't need to be in depth, but just an overview of what their business is about. So if it's a small independent bakery, such as Amir said about the charity work they may do something on, they donate the food maybe to a food charity, a food bank, things like that, or reduce, anything positive. So it's showing that you've researched, you've looked at it, and you're enthusiastic about it, and that is that's a really positive thing. And it's looking at the interviewer, the people that are interviewing you, and you've got the eye contact. Your tone of your voice is changing. You're becoming enthusiastic about it. So it's these are all positives. They're definitely not negative. So it's being positive. And if you're not sure about anything, don't try to wing it. Don't try to sort of blag it along the way. Just say, unfortunately, I don't know a great deal. I know that you're in the high street, or you're in this small village, or wherever the shop is, or the business. And just say, I don't know a great deal about it. Could you tell me? So you're asking them a question. Could you tell me a little about the business?
Yeah. Show you're interested.
Yeah, exactly.
Or show you're keen to learn.
So you're going to twist it around a little bit, and hopefully that will be okay.
Yeah. Don't be afraid to admit you don't know the answer.
No, definitely
better than faking it, like you said. And I think just one more point. Which is probably the most important one. Maybe not. That's just remain calm at all time. Take your deep breaths when you need to take your deep breaths. At the end of the day, the people who are interviewing you, they're all ones in your position. They fully understand how nerve-wracking an interview can be. They'll probably offer you some water. At the end of the day, it's not their intention to make you feel uncomfortable or anything. It's just, they want you to, express yourself show yourself off in a way you feel comfortable doing so. And again, something I find helps is sometimes, like a couple of days before the interview, I'll get a pen and paper or my phone, just write down a couple of things I want to say about myself, because they will ask you things like, name your strengths, name your weaknesses, tell us a bit about yourself, little things like that. Because a lot of employers, they're interested about you as the person rather than you as the person who's going to become the customer service person,
Yeah.
So, don't be afraid to say, oh, I love my football, I love my movies, I love my fitness, whatever. At the end of the day, I say 9 times out of 10, employers look for someone who are nice, easygoing people to get along with. So don't be scared to show off that fun human side of you. So anything else?
Yeah, just touching on the friendly and
sorry.
No, that's fine. It's because sometimes in businesses you will be going into a team, a small team. Sometimes it can be a small team, sometimes it can be a very big team.
Yeah.
And as someone that's going to interview you, they're going. You could be very well qualified for the job, and it's based on the interview and on what you're actually and how you're responding to any questions. Is where the one question they would ask themselves is, will this person fit into the team? That could be a team of 3 people, or it could be a team of 30. If you worked in a supermarket, everyone has different shifts, and sometimes you're not working with the same people very often. Sometimes you will. So they're going to look at, will they fit in? Because they don't want any aggravation with their employees if they can avoid it. And I know that's very subjective, as in it's their opinion, but that's your opportunity to sell yourself. So you're going to sell your skills, your attributes. You've got the interview, you're sitting down, having the interview. It's up to you to be friendly, and they may ask you the questions, as Amir said, and quite rightly, prepare yourself. They may give you a scenario. Okay, you're a customer service. What would you do in a situation where a customer is very angry? I'm not going to give you the answer to that because that would be my opinion. So it would be up to you to provide a positive response to that, so that they can hear that you would deal with it in a particular way. And it's situations like that. We can't all prepare for every eventuality. None of us can, but we can prepare to a point. And if they can see that, they're going to take that on board, and that's going to be a really good thing.
Yes, definitely. Sorry, one more.
No.
That's one more little thing. Again, I did mention earlier about, they'll ask you what your strengths and weaknesses are. Whatever your strengths are, name them. I'm reliable, I'm on time, I'm, whatever. I'm just great, whatever. When it does come to the weaknesses, however, don't just leave it as, oh, my weakness is, I don't know, punctuality, or my weakness is,
I'm shy,
whatever. Don't just leave it as that. When it does come to weaknesses, say what you're doing to work on those weaknesses as well. So, so for example, I'd be like, oh, normally I'm shy or whatever. But, I'm learning to, be more confident. I'm doing yoga, whatever. It's just, when you say your weaknesses, don't just leave it as weaknesses. Always say what you're doing to improve on your weeknesses.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. The shy thing, that could be you join a local gym, so there's going to be other people there, so you're interacting.
Yeah.
You're doing something that makes you feel good and you're obviously interested in. If it's communication skills, it could be a part-time course you decided to do at the local college. with regards to that, communication is not just verbal, although it's very important when you're having an interview. It's all forms of the social platforms that we have out there now. So that's a form of communication. Writing a letter is a form of communication, what we've been talking about. So there's all sorts of different forms. So if you say, well, that you're taking it from school, somebody said, well, your communication skills aren't very good, and you're thinking, oh, perhaps they're not. But then you can look at it with, and Amir is very, very correct in saying this, in what they're looking for is, okay, somebody's identified that's a weakness of yours. You've agreed with them. What are you actually doing about it? Mm-hmm. And I think that is absolutely key, because if you say, well, actually, I'm doing this, I've enrolled on a part-time course, I've joined the local gym, and I'm doing some voluntary work. They can see that you're willing to put that extra effort in to make an improvement, and that's what they're looking for. Because when you turn up to a job, you may or may not have experience of that particular role. You've obviously got something because they've asked you for the interview, but you may have to be, have some training. You may have to, attend a local college as part of your job, whether it's an apprenticeship. So they're looking to invest in you. So you've got to, convince them that their investment, whether it's time or money, is worthwhile. And that's for any job. Going back to the bakery, you may not know how to use a cash register, or if someone presents a debit or credit card to pay for their bill, or cash, and there's so it's dealing with money, and so it's actually trying to convince them that you are the person for that job.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. Cool. So now we've done the CV, the cover letters, the job interview. Hopefully we didn't make it too boring for you all. But at the end of the day, these are just little tips. Don't have to follow them, but like I say, just make sure
make sure. I mean,
make sure you're prepared.
Yeah, it's preparing. It's based on our experiences, and we know that is not yours. That but these little tips and have worked for us, and we've had people along the way help us on our journey. So it's. If you have any questions for us, or anything else you would like us to talk about, hashtag Young Hillingdon. We would really appreciate that interaction. And if we don't know, we will find out. And we would put that information there, give that information to you. So we ourselves, we don't know everything. But as I say, we'll find out, and we'll give you the information you're after.
Yes. Right. So, I suppose the next thing then is, a question that I actually get asked quite a bit, from young people is, how did I end up working with young people? How did I end up doing youth work, youth engagement, things like that?
Yeah.
And I will always say, it is because I took an opportunity that was available to me when I was about 15, 16, which this opportunity led me to where I am now. And I think that's the next thing we're going to talk about is sort of opportunities, and how to take advantage of your opportunities when they arise. Because the thing with opportunities is they can be few and far between. So that's why it's important when an opportunity does come, that you do take it.
I agree.
Like I said, if I didn't do if I didn't have the opportunity, when I was doing the course, which led to me doing the work that I'm doing now, if I hadn't have taken it, simply put, I don't think I'd be doing this job.
How did the opportunity come about, Amir? What situation were you in?
And well, I guess
were you still at school?
Then.
Were you still at school?
No, I wasn't at school.
Right. Okay.
I wasn't at college. I wasn't really doing anything. I was just stuck at home all the time. I started attending drama club and filmmaking clubs within Hillingdon Borough.
Okay.
I'm not sure if they're still on. I'm not sure if they still happen, but
we'll check on that. We can find out, and we can post it out there for you.
Yeah, but I attended a drama class, and that was all I pretty much had to look forward to week in, week out. I wasn't in any education, things like that. I think it was my film teacher or the film worker there who taught me these things. He actually referred me onto the course, and because again, he knew my situation, he knew, what I was going through, things like that, and he felt to me that this workshop would be very beneficial to me. At first I didn't really fancy doing it. It was like, got to commit every Tuesday to doing this thing, and then obviously I'm not even doing anything anyway. But I say, he signed me up to it. I thought, you know what, I actually have to have an interview for that.
There you go.
Put what we taught you into practice.
Yes.
Yeah. So I had my interview, and then I got accepted onto it. I did the workshop, and then I volunteered with them for a little while. It was just it was a thing called Young Leaders, and just basically how you do youth work and things like that. I volunteered during Fiesta, which is the summer activities program that Hillingdon put on. Just volunteered on and off with Hillingdon. But again, that's me taking an opportunity that I wasn't going to take, and if I hadn't have taken it, I don't know what I'd be doing now, being honest.
Yeah.
But, what about you? How did you get into sort of helping young people, working?
It was a total change of career, but initially it was voluntary work in a local primary school. It was part of the company I worked for. They encouraged us. There was two afternoons a week to actually go and listen and read with the young people at the primary school. We were checked, and obviously the security checks, the normal DBS checks were done. And we used to go down there, and it was very enlightening and refreshing. The career I was in was not very interesting. I must be honest. I'm not going to mention names or anything, but it was a career that I've been in for quite some time. And probably after about 3 or 4 weeks, I know it was just reading, but just generally getting a taste of the environment of the school, and just listening to their young person and helping them and guiding them with particular words and sentence structure and things like that. It really it made me want to look at it a little bit deeper and a little bit further. Fast forward a few years, I've since worked at a primary school, secondary schools, alternative provision for education for young people. Whilst I was at a secondary school, we had a part of Hillingdon targeted programs come into the school, and they were doing a presentation and a talk, and it interested me. It sparked something in me to actually investigate with regards to working for Hillingdon Youth Services for the young people. So I looked at that and went for the interview, went for the interview, and I was very fortunate to get the job. I still work in educational environment in a secondary school, but I also work as a youth worker. So combining those two sets of skills is something that helps me to help the young people, and that's the most important thing. So it's a slightly different journey to yourself. But we've ended up in the same place. We're both sitting at the same desk, obviously socially distancing, and kind of 1 meter, but we are working within a bubble, a social distance bubble. So we are very careful on that. But yes, it's those qualities and skills enabled me to become a youth worker.
And that's what we mean by opportunities.
Yes.
Do grab them when they come. So I said, if I hadn't taken mine, I wouldn't be, I probably wouldn't be sitting here. Doing this while I love doing.
Can I just
sorry.
Carry on.
Another thing I was going to say is, say, all right, you may not be working, you may not be in education, you may not have anything to do during the day. So, look up any free workshops going, look up any training courses. I reckon most training courses are probably free to do. And again, look at volunteering. Whether that's with local community, with a charity shop, with with an organisation, Dogs Trust. There's a lot of volunteering opportunities out there, and if you are volunteering, I know it's kind of going back to the employers, but if they see you volunteering, that will go a long way for you. So
it's something to talk about at your interview as well, and it's something to put onto your CV covering letter. So those qualities and skills. Let's just say you were working for a particular charity or trust. You're going to need to get there. You will still have a shift pattern, albeit voluntary, but you'll still need to get there at a particular time. You need to dress appropriately. So let's just say it was a Dogs Trust. You would be working. You wouldn't be turning up in a very formal clothes. You'd be dressed appropriately. It may be raining, and your duties for that morning are you need to go and walk the dog. So you may have to wear Wellington boots or take them with you, and be able to interact with other people as well. So there's a lot of qualities and skills you probably have already, but a lot of charities rely on volunteers, and it's a really good opportunity. Sometimes those charities, a full-time paid vacancy will arise, and you would be, if you're impressed or you're impressing them, would certainly be something that they would look at if they said, would you be interested in working here in paid employment? And then you've got that decision to make, whether that's an opportunity, as Amir as mentioned before, taking that opportunity. There may be training courses available. So would you definitely take those opportunities? And when if you leave school or you're not working, or you leave college and you're not working, it's better to have something from even if it's voluntary. So rather than there's a 4 or 5 month gap on what have you been doing in the last 4 months, rather than saying not a lot really, which is not going to go down very well. It's, well, actually, I have been looking for paid employment, but in the meantime, I have volunteered for whatever charity it is or organisation, and I've thoroughly enjoyed it. And sometimes you can link those skills in. So even if it's not the same area that you're actually having the interview, but the qualities and skills they're looking for, you can cross over from the ones you've been doing for the voluntary organisation, and that's always a positive.
Like I said, say you are applying for bakery, but you're volunteering for animal shelter or whatever. Two completely different, organisations, whatever. But you're showing the bakery that you are reliable. You do have commitment there. you do have, you know, even mention what you've learned from volunteering as well. You know, say my communication's improved, my timekeeping has, you know, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter whether it's paid, whether it's volunteering, whether it's just a course or a workshop. You know, always mention what you know, how those things have helped you develop as well as a person. You know, I'm guessing
you could use the as a going back to the references which we spoke about right at the beginning, is that if you work for a charity or a voluntary organisation, you could obviously ask, but that's somebody else. It's another opportunity to have somebody else to give you a reference.
Yes.
So if everything's been good and positive, then that's going to be a wonderful reference for you to have, and you know that's a good thing, a very good thing. So
right, we've got about 7 minutes left, so we can quickly discuss. What about this one?
Yeah.
Finding.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll just quickly discuss before we wrap up. You know, about finding the right job. Well, obviously, your first job, it's not necessarily what you might want to.
Yeah, it may not necessarily be a job that you.
Yeah.
You know, you might be there a long time. You may be there a few months. You know, we're looking on the positive side of things, where we hope that you have a successful career there. Sometimes circumstances change, such as the environment we're in at the moment, where some businesses are really struggling. So they're out of your control and everybody's control. So the environment is dictating with regards to the success of certain businesses. So you know, it's quite difficult. There are many websites out there. There's government websites. You look on the Hillingdon website. There are apprenticeships and jobs there that may be appropriate for your skill set and knowledge, etc. Definitely look at it. You can look in and using that IT and computers to actually access things like that is really good. The government website is apprenticeships and things, and talking to friends and family as well that may be already working. That is another option to actually apply for a job. Yeah.
Yes, definitely. Definitely look at apprenticeships. Earn while you learn, isn't that the
yes? No, definitely, definitely.
And am I correct in thinking government have recently done a bunch of
apprenticeships? Yes, you can go in on the government website, and there are a list of companies that are offering apprenticeships.
Yes, that's
there's an apprenticeship scheme for various different jobs and things. So that's something that needs to be looked. That you can actually look at that.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing. It's about preparing, and it's looking at a variety of different jobs and perhaps doing a little bit of research into those jobs, so that you're thinking, well, that doesn't appeal to me at all, and then looking at another one and thinking, well, yeah, there's a lot of things there that I would definitely be interested in. If you have got family or friends or somebody's parent that does that job or a similar job, you could ask them about it and say, any chance I could have a chat with you about, your job? Do you find it interesting? What sorts of things do you do?
Don't be afraid to ask relatives, members, what their employers would look for in whatever. Right, so I think we're going to wrap it up there.
Yeah.
Next week we'll discuss something.
Yeah.
Not sure what yet, but we'll find something.
Well, life skills that would hopefully help you get an interview, looking at further education. What do I do if things are not going so well? So we can look at a variety of different things. If you have any questions, please hashtag Young Hillingdon, send them in, and we will be prepared before we come on air.
And like I said, any topics you want us to go over, just message us, and we'll do we'll cover it.
Yep.
All right. So thank you for joining us. Hopefully you've learned a few things, picked up a few tips and tricks. See you next week.